Ba 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 ba. I got a song stuck in my head. Ba 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 ba. Hello, everybody. It's Baby here. Sorry I'm late today. We are doing Telltale Tuesdays as promised. To this week, we are going to be focusing on the story The Soldier in Death, which there is a Germanic version of it, but I think that this specific rendition is more from the Russian side of things, where we focus on another spooky story for the stories of October. So I'm just logging into my other computer where I store all my notes, and we're gonna wait for a few more people to show up before I push play over here. Hello, Void. Nice to see you. Let's open up Twitch on this computer. Hello, I see we have 3 viewers, including myself. Hello. How is everybody's day today? Oh, just me, apparently. Pretty good? I saw in the chat that you were feeling kind of bleh. Well, this is lying to me, because it says that we only got 1 viewer, but that's not the case. So let's try this again. Oh, 2 viewers. Ba, 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 da, ba, 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 da, ba, ba. I'm sorry you're not feeling physically well. That sucks. Ba, 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 da, ba, ba. Don't you turn off on me. Ba, ba, ba. So in all honesty, I've been depressed. It's the time of year, I think. Fall hits and everyone's seated with seasonal depression. I start missing the void a lot more. The court and whatnot. So that's just kind of like how it is. Exactly. Like you can feel everything dying around you and you're like, oh, World War III is on the horizon and we're just like, oh. Like it's it's just kind of like how things are right now. I think everyone's feeling a little gross. So that's why I'm running a little bit behind today. Hello. Well, welcome anyway. Hello. Well, we're mostly going to be watching the film first, and then we're going to go over like the history, where it comes from. I think I already explained that this particular story is particular, one of those, is from Russia. And one of the proofs we have for that is that death shows themselves more feminine in this story. Ba, 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 ba. Hey, Luna. Sorry, I just saw that you were here. Okay, now that we have a few more people, let's get this party started. We're up to 5 viewers. Hello, everybody. Hello. So yeah, why don't we jump right into it? Come on. What are you doing?
And
Yeah, exactly. What is this doing? There we go. We got it. Excuse me?
When people told themselves
Who's
their
that tomato?
past with stories, explained their present with stories, foretold the future with stories. The best place by the fire was kept for the storyteller.
Echo. Uh-oh. Is it my voice or...
I want to smell biscuits. Imagination. No. Important things in this bag. And besides, I need those biscuits for my story. Well, tell your story, then we can eat them. Is it an old story? Ancient. Antique. Oh, still.
It just means we're going to be missing out on sound alerts.
It begins 1,000 miles from anywhere. After 20 years of war with a soldier, an honest soul with nothing but a shilling in his pocket and 3 dried biscuits for the long trudge home. This was his regiment, the Royal Hussars. Oh yes, 1,000 miles the soldier marched, whistling his tuneless whistle, and he spent his shilling and was down to the 3 dried biscuits when one day he comes across an old beggar. And the soldier stopped and joined in with the beggar's fiddle. The one couldn't fiddle, the other couldn't
fix
whistle,
the echo, guys?
and quite happy they both were.
A merry tune.
Is it worth a farthing?
More. Though I can give you nothing. I do have a biscuit you can have.
Then you're a good man, father, and I'll thank you.
Go on, eat.
You're a good man who deserves a better whistle.
And off the soldier went and took up with his tuneless tune, but funny, peculiar, and strange indeedy. He had a whistle like... Well, imagine what rubies would sound like if they whistled. And he kept it up all the way down the road until he met another old boy down in his luck and ward at the edges. And this old man, he played knick-knack on his drum. And the soldier stood and whistled his ruby whistle and did a little jig and his weary boots, a stumble and a hopping. And then he swaps a second biscuit. And now look at his dance. Oh, yes, a fine terpsichore. Good as new, was skipping a hop down the road. At length he comes to a third old soak, worn to a whisper and playing a game of cards by the road. And the soldier looks as the fellow shuffled the pack and dealt out the cards, one after the other, a perfect hand, and gave him a huge clap.
A splendid game.
Worth a farthing?
More. Though I have nothing to give you.
Now, the soldier had but a single biscuit in his bag, and he was hungry as heck, so he thought on it.
But I have a biscuit you can share with me.
And the soldier held out his last dried biscuit and broke it in 2. But it didn't feel good, did it, dearies, to give the old boy less than the others, so he gave him both halves.
You're a good man, and deserve more luck than to be on your last biscuit. Here, take my card, Shirana, and may they never lose for you. Take this sack also. An ugly thing, but remarkable. Order a bird in, or a beast, or anything you like, and it'll be there in a twinkle.
And off he went, a skip and a whistle and a light heart and an empty sack, and walked a warm night and a bright day, and came to a river.
Keith! Oi! Get in my sack! That's a nice whistle.
I got it off a poor soul down on his luck.
Home from the war, are you?
Aye.
And a sack full of spoils.
No. This is 3 geese I trapped yesterday. I want one for my supper. If you'll cook it for me and give me a bed, you can have the other 2 for your trouble.
I like a nice bird.
Be sure to bring back the sack.
And the landlord roasted him the goose in clove and honey and brought it back with a bottle of best wine, and the soldier ate it all and sucked the bones and drank the wine and danced until the morning, when he sank, swam, flopped into bed. 3 days later, he woke up and looked out of the window, and there on the hill he saw a palace.
Thought I heard you. Slept well, soldier?
Not bad, not bad. Whose palace is that? Why are the windows all smashed?
That's the Tsar's palace. It was once a place of waltzes and chandeliers and fabulous parties. Now the devils have it for their card games.
Devils?
Devils. Every night they tumble in and scream and shout and play at cards. No decent folk go near, they're so devilish.
It's a nice palace. Someone should deal with those devils.
An army tried. In the morning, there was nothing left but shadows, and that's the truth. These are devilish devils, and gamblers, too.
I think I'll take a closer look.
Well, that's folly.
Folly or not, the soldier goes, sack on his shoulder, whistle on his lips, into the palace. And inside, it's very quiet, as if the walls were holding their breath and waiting.
We have a visitor. A guest. And he's whistling. That's a nice whistle. I want to have it.
Hello. I hear you like a game of cards.
I like a game of cards.
So, what shall we play for?
His soul. His whistle. His teeth. I collect teeth.
Fair enough. And what will you stake?
We've got 40 barrels of gold. Any good?
Very good.
Fetch the coffers.
Good. Let's play then.
And with that, they settled down to business. The soldier dealt the cards and won.
My round, I think.
And won again.
Is he cheating? Well, I am, and I'm still losing. Me too. Deal again.
Certainly.
And he did. And he won. And the devils got into the kind of fume only devils can get in. Fume, fume, fume. He won game after game while the devils cheated to high heaven and low hell to no avail. By the first bells of morning, the 40 barrels of gold were stacked behind the chair of the soldier, who whistled as he won.
I like how he has one song, like also me.
Well, my friends, I suppose we'd better call it a day.
No, we will not. We will call it a breakfast, and you the meal.
First, make sure who eats whom. What do you call this?
It's a sack. A sack. Just a sack.
Is it?
Then by the grace of God, get in it. And will that be the end of your mischief in these parts?
Let us out, please. We're past to bits. Let me go! Let me go!
I won't let you go, my
Literally
boy,
just
until
beating
you
the
swear
shit
to
out of some
serve me
demons.
faithfully.
I swear! I swear!
I'll hold you to your promise.
Hey! My foot's come off!
That's right. Now off you go, and remember where you left it.
The devils rushed to hell and slammed shut the doors
Exactly.
for fear of being followed by the soldier in his sack. And they trembled and quivered and fumed. But the soldier had no time for devils. He was the toast of the town and the star of the Tsar. But howsoever life smiles on us, the last laugh is reserved for death.
Bum, bum, bum.
Oh, yes. Everything is dandy with our friend the good soldier and his magic sack. Rewarded by the Tsar, he's a rich gentleman now, a husband and a father, lives in the castle.
To be fair, the demons were
Blessed
trying to eat
and
him. I
couldn't
think
be
it's more
better.
self-defense than
Until
anything else.
one day, because fate is fickle. One day, because fortune is cruel. His son falls into a terrible fever.
He's worse.
And they calls for quacks and apothecaries and healers, and soon the boy's room is full with grey beards and shaking of heads. But still the fever rages, and the boy passes into a swoon. And oh dear, the grey beards are replaced by priests mumbling and praying. And a man in black comes to measure a coffin.
Oh, what shall we do? My lips are sore with praying, and my knees are weary of kneeling.
And I've lost my whistle from worrying. It's the very devil, I say. The very devil.
Look what he did!
Now, where the devil's that devil of mine?
I'm here, Your Excellency.
Where have you sprung from?
Not so much sprung as hopped, sir. You have my foot.
Cure my son, and you can have it back. This is my good wife, by the way, and this is my devil.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Yes, I saw your son was ill. Let me have a look at him. Look in here, Your Excellency.
I see a small creature
That's Death, Excellency.
She's
Where does he
beautiful.
stand?
at my son's feet.
Ah, good. He will recover. It's when he comes to the head you must worry. Now, sprinkle some of the water from the glass on your child.
You're a marvel.
Yeah, they did a
Well,
good
we
job.
love this.
They actually made the devils look like actually
Most
monstrous, and I
certainly.
really like. I think it's cool
Thank
design.
you.
Of course,
Will
not
there
all
be
demons.
anything else, sir?
Not all demons, but
Give me that glass,
these
and I'll
imps
release you from your
specifically.
promise.
Really? Oh, thank you. Quite nice black flowers.
And so the soldier set up in his new trade as Miracle Man and travelled the world on a camel with his magic glass. Show him a sick man and he would hold up the glass. If Death sat at the foot of the bed, a quick splish-splash and up the invalid would sit pouring out blessings. If Death stood staring at the other end, the soldier would shake his head solemnly and depart, and the relatives would mutter, what a pity, he came too late, and pay him all the same. But as often as not, he left with all happy and amazed and praising him. And it went well for the soldier until one day, far from anywhere, he gets a message from home to say the old Tsar has fallen ill and sends for him.
I've come too late.
You save beggars and thieves and cats and dogs, yet you won't save your master.
If Death needs a new friend, I cannot fight him.
Then let me go in his place.
No. The Tsar has been my friend and father. If anyone should go, it should be me.
Like, he says that, but he made him fight in a 12-year-long war and left him nothing but 3 biscuits. Like...
Sir, take me and spare the Tsar. I beg you.
I'm just saying.
Praise be! Praise be!
Oh, husband, is it all up with you?
Do you know what this is?
A sack.
Well, if this is a sack,
They did such a good job with this.
then get in it.
I caught death in my sack! Why? You see? I caught death in my sack! Oh, what about
Good aim. Death a prisoner. The news whispered from one of the Tsar's 50 wives to the other spread through the town as fast as gossip, which is what it was, and nothing spreads faster. And within 4.5 minutes, the whole town knew. And within 17 minutes, the whole country knew. And by the following morning, it was the talking point of 1,000 languages. Death a prisoner. Muerte un prisionero. Tod ein Gefangener. Smiert us Nietzsche. I forgot the Greek.
Ec meritissime tondenitur.
Exactly. And the soldier, to be on the safe side, set off with death in his
Sorry,
sack
just so
and
fun.
found the thickest
So fun.
forest and the highest tree and clambered up it and hung
He missed
death
a few,
from
I
the
think.
longest branch and promptly fell off. But there's nothing like death off duty to cushion a fall.
So nothing died?
Nothing. The oddest battles. There were wars going on in most places, and they were very strange. At the end of a day's carnage, flashing swords and explosions, the air thick with arrows and savage swoosh of axes, nobody had died. The armies would look at each other exhausted and intact. Duels at dawn went on till midnight, when the rivals would go home confused. Crossed lovers would throw themselves off cliffs and have a long climb back. And my friend the soldier was the most famous man in the world because suddenly everyone could live forever. He sat in his palace and whistled his ruby whistle. And then one day, looking down from his window, he sees his courtyard full of poor souls wandering. Old scrags of folk barely held together. They were waiting for death's release, and it would not come. And the soldier could not bear their sorrow. Back he went to the forest.
Death? I've led you a merry dance, but now you must have me and set the world to rights.
She's like, bitch, no. Absolutely not.
Come back!
But Death had fear of the soldier and his sack and would not come back. He was condemned to watch while others aged and died, but Death would not come for him. No, the soldier, old Kipper, dried beef, lived on and on and on until he could stand it no longer and dragged his dust and fragments across to the edge of the earth and slowly down to hell.
Yes,
A sinful soul comes to surrender his life.
yes. What's that you're carrying?
Nothing. An old sack.
A sack! Ah!
Let me in! I beg you!
Go away! Go on and take that horrible sack with you!
But where can I go?
We don't care! Just dig it off!
I won't go unless you give me a map to heaven and a way in. And 200 souls you've no further use for.
You impudent... 150!
Do you know what this is?
Don't wave that sack around. All right, 200. Yuck. Follow the map until you can go no further. Then go directly up until you get the sensation of standing on your head. That's the edge of heaven. After that, follow the church music.
Who approaches the gates of heaven?
I am the soldier who took death prisoner, and I have brought 200 souls from hell in the hope that God will forgive me and let me in with them.
The souls may enter, but alone.
Go then, and be blessed. Take this, friend, and once inside, call me into the sack. Remember, I delivered you from the furnace.
But you see, there is no memory in heaven. Souls forget. The soldier waited and waited an inch from paradise, until after a long time, forgotten, he turned and walked slowly back to Earth. And for all I know, he wanders still.
So sad.
Oh, he's a rare boy, my friend the soldier. He's somewhere about his business.
You sure?
Come on. You can have your biscuit.
Do you know what this is?
A sack.
Well, if it's a sack, then get in it. Just checking.
It's a minimal space. So like it's kind of like a TARDIS, where it can just hold whatever the hell it wants. No, in fact, do not profit. In fact, suffer horribly. Yeah, no, don't try and catch death in a sack. That's the takeaway here. So I want to talk a bit about this one. So this was actually collected from I'm going to butcher this name because it's very Russian. Alexander Afansiev in his book The Neandrin Ruski Sazaki. So it's a collection of short stories that he collected. Of course, these folk tales are maybe Stingy Jack also had a sack. I'm not sure. I don't speak Russian. Ukrainian at some point, but not anymore, baby. Canadian too long. And it was translated, by the way, by someone named Arthur Mitchell Ransom. So what we're really getting is not only the English translation, but also the translation from story into Jen Henson's storyteller kind of vibes. Things that they cut out of this story is a lot more of the religious context. Like all the beggars were supposed to be Christ incarnate. So it was Christ or Jesus taking the place of the beggars to test the soldier, and at the end gives him all the gifts because he was so kind. You also see stuff like the beggar just deciding to be kind and giving the last beggar his biscuit, when in truth there was a lot more like hemming and hawing about it, and a lot of his thing about giving him the whole biscuit is, what if he runs across his other pals that I gave full biscuits to? He'll never forgive me. He'll think I'm awful. Oh God. And I'm like, yeah, I relate to that a bit more. Other things you miss out on is like the Tsar inviting him into his palace to live in his palace with him, which is where he meets his wife and child. And there's a little bit more focus on the devils that he fights, and the fact that the Tsar himself is who invites him to stay in the castle. So those are the main differences that we're going to be seeing. And of course, they took out a lot more of the religious backstory for this, in order to kind of make it a bit more... Not what is the word I'm looking for? Inclusive, a bit more inclusive and welcoming to people that are not of the faith, to be able to come in and enjoy the story. What? Gainadian? What are you writing? Yeah, a Gainadian. A Gainadian. In fact, I said Canadian, didn't I? A Canadian. There we go. And of course, because this is a folklore, it's told in many different countries around the world in different ways. For example, as I was saying, in the Russian version, which is the version that we were looking at today, Death takes on more of a feminine personality, wherein like the Grimm brothers, Death is a man. So that's another interesting twist on the story. Looking a little bit closer as well, we can see different tropes popping up here. Some very interesting ones. The rule of thirds comes back swinging. And part of the reason a lot of these stories have the rule of thirds entwined into them is because it helps the storyteller remember the story, because we remember things best in thirds, right? So it's a bit easier for the storyteller to tell their story when they can remember it. It's the same reason that songs are usually 3 choruses, why they're a little bit repetitive. It's so the singer can remember what they're singing while they're on stage. That, and it sounds good to the human ear. The human ear likes the sounds of 3s. That's hilarious. Also, it's true. I'm going to go back and look for it, and I'm going to put that on TikTok. Because I think it's funny. Now, I'm going to play a bit of, after now that we're done, the plan was to go ahead and play some Don't Starve Together with my good friend Annie. And if I can bully Loon into it as well. If not, what we can do is we can watch another one of these, because I'd love to show you guys the story of Sap Sorrow, which I think is... because I just know the history of that one a bit more. Yeah, Sap Sorrow. I'd love to do the Sap Sorrow with you guys. There we go. Ba, ba, ba. But I think what we're going to do, and this is specifically for posting it up, is I'm going to stop the stream and we'll start it back up. So give me 4 seconds and I'll be right back. I'm watching you. I'll be right back.